Hi guys. So I figured out why you guys are so successful. There's no final exams. That's Thank you. I'll be here for the next 45 minutes. Okay. I'm going to set this. Someone give me a kill switch if I start going too long. My name is Kevin Auernig. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak with you guys today. I am the CEO and co-founder of Sodalicious. By raise of hands, how many people have been to Sodalicious? By raise of hands, how many people have not been to Sodalicious? What? Okay, well, we can work on that. Okay, so I am, again, like I said, I'm grateful to be here today. When they invite you to speak here, they send you a nice little letter and a link to a video, and it shows a lot of the entrepreneurs that have spoken here before, and in that, Scott says, I encourage you to prayerfully prepare for what you're going to speak about. So before I had watched that link and I had agreed to speak here, I thought, well, I'm just going to give my regular spiel that I always give. And it's about branding, creating brand loyalty, overcoming obstacles. And I don't remember anything that was said in that video except him saying, be prayerful about this. And I thought, you know what? He's right. This is a different place where I can talk about spiritual things and business at the same time. It's a place where it's the only place I've ever spoken about business where we've opened with a prayer. And it's a place where we can talk freely about the Spirit and how the Spirit works in our lives and in our mundane daily activities. So I hope you'll have an open heart, an open mind as I speak today. So it was, let's see, March of 2013, and my wife is a costume designer for the LDS Motion Picture Studio. She was the head costume designer for the church's Bible video series, if you see those online. And we had flown to Sicily for 2 months to film part of this was a 4-year project, and the last 2 months we were in Sicily filming, this beautiful beach in Sicily, filming Christ and the apostles doing all the things that they did. And every day at the hotel we were having this hot chocolate. It was just this thick, rich, I don't know if you've ever had Italian sipping chocolate, but it's just like, it's not quite as thick as pudding, but it's so delicious. No pun intended, but it's so delicious. So I'm going to fast forward now. We get home in May, and I have to tell you, ahead of this time, my wife had always liked to flavor her soda. She'd like to put coconut in it. She'd like to put vanilla in it, and different flavors. And she was always making drinks for herself and for the cast and crew, naming them funny names and just whatever. And we got home from Sicily, and she had 1 week left of filming out at the church's big Jerusalem-looking movie set out at the south end of Utah Lake in Goshen. And she came home that day and from there and said, we're going to start a soda shack. Do you want to start a soda shack? And I'm literally sitting at the kitchen table eating my dinner when she walked in. And I said, sure, I just don't want to spend a lot of money. Now, where I was at that point in my life was I had taken a year off work. I was working for a substance abuse center, helping people that were struggling with substance abuse, but I had taken a year off to stay with the kids while my wife was working 14 to 16-hour days. But it was time for me to go back to work, and I didn't want to go back to work there. I wanted to do something else. I had spent a lot of time in the business world. I worked for Payne Weber. It was a brokerage firm in Salt Lake. Fidelity Investments, also a brokerage firm, but it was up in Salt Lake. And I wanted to get back, and I'd also had a few of my own other companies during that time. Anyways, I thought, sure, why not? Let's give it a go. Let's just not spend a lot of money. So the idea was, we started out, it was going to be a snow cone shack that served flavored soda, just to meet our need of needing our daily fix of our favorite drinks. And we were hoping that we would be able, with this little soda shack, think of a snow cone shack, to put a little drive-through on it. That way, my wife didn't have to get out of the car with the kids, march the kids into the Maverick. They get their grubby little hands on all the little toys and stuff that are up front. Then you got the hassle of putting back in the car seats and all that stuff. It was just, I could drive through, get my drink, keep going with my day. And that was the need that we were just trying to solve with this thing. We quickly found out that you can't run a soda fountain in a snow cone shack. Snow cone shacks in Utah County, I don't know anywhere else, but in Utah County have a special exemption with the health department. So they don't require the same kind of plumbing, the same kind of electrical that you do to run a soda machine. So we had to find a location that would fit our needs, that we wouldn't feel like we were breaking the bank, because really, and I still hold this perspective today, we're running a glorified lemonade stand. How that we had to find a building that fit our needs. So how many of you have seen our little shop? Half of you have that have at least been there, but how that you haven't been there, have you seen our shop on 3rd North in the back of Johnny's Barbershop? Raise a hand. So you've seen it. Okay. It's tiny. It's 250 square feet. And what happened was we had looked all over the place for locations. We started looking for locations in, I think, May of 2013. And we were looking all over Provo. But rent and leases, they're expensive. We were $3,900 a month was the cheapest we had found, up to $5,000 a month is in that range. And it was just not something we were willing to just take the risk and say, hey, we're going to go sell soda, and $3,900 a month. So we found the barbershop. We just saw that the back half of the barbershop was not being used. There wasn't a for rent sign. It had most recently been used for Steve Clark's campaign for Provo City Mayor. And so we found out who the owner was, and we called him and said, hey, what are you doing with the back half of this barbershop? Can we rent it from you? And he came down. His name's D. Sangren. He's actually the guy that owns the Cougar Fight song, believe it or not. His dad wrote it, and he owns it. And anyways, so he came down. That was just a little side note. I just think that's interesting. So he came down. He met with us, and he said, I love entrepreneurs. I want to see you guys succeed. He must have thought we were crazy when we told him what we wanted to do. But he rented it to us for, basically $1 a square foot. It was next to nothing, right? And it's no longer that way. We should have negotiated a better deal up front. But once he saw the success, the lease changed. Yeah, as it should. So, anyways, we ended up opening in October of 2013. We literally thought this is what we would do. We would sell soda in the summer, and this Italian hot chocolate stuff, which we call hot lava, in the winter. And we would have one person working inside there. And the goal was, so the partners in our business are me and my wife, and then there's another couple. The wife from that couple, her name's Anna Kay, and she was my wife's assistant on the movie project. And so it was she and her husband. And we all got together at my kitchen table one day and decided, okay, we're going to do this. We're all 25, 25, 25, 25. And each couple put in $5,000, and the rest we funded on credit cards. And we did a lot of work. We learned how to lay tile. We learned how to, because the back of that barbershop was literally, it looked like a 1977 insurance office. There was wood paneling on the walls, old, really heavy furniture. And we had to put in plumbing. We had to do all these things. And so a couple of the points I want to make with you guys today is, because I'm sure, you're in this class for a reason. Maybe you have an idea. Maybe you're already somewhere down the path on your idea. But how do you make it work? How do you make it successful? And a couple points I want to drive home is you make progress every single day. There were days when I thought, we should just give up. Like, what is the point of this? This is so silly. My partner, so we were hoping to make enough money to just reinvest some in another startup that my wife and I wanted to do. And the other couple in the partnership, They wanted to make enough money to pay for their 3 sons' missions. Mission accomplished. Now what, right? So our first obstacle, though, was once we got that location, was dealing with community development, Provo City community development. This was a whole new world for us trying to open up in a shop. We didn't know all the regulations, and there are a lot of regulations. And one thing I learned from the get-go, someone gave me some great advice: don't cut corners. Do it the right way. If the health department wants something, do what the health department asks. Because if you don't do it, later on they're going to find out, and then you're just under their magnifying glass for the rest of your life. And you don't want that. So just, if there is a regulation and you don't understand it, try to understand it. Try to figure it out and just comply. You'll be better off in the long run. And so we had to turn this little barbershop, which breaks pretty much every rule of commercial real estate, into this drive-through, and you've been through that drive-through. Have you seen the fence? How many people hit the fence coming through that drive-through or exiting that drive-through? I've replaced it 5 times this year, that fence. But people still keep coming back. So we had to submit plans and go through committees, and then they would send back, say, no, this is not working, and here's why, and then we'd have to readjust our plans, send them back in, and this took months. We didn't know how this worked. Now, developers who do this kind of thing, they know how to expedite the system, they know how to get through, and now we also know how to move faster through community development. But that first time was a real struggle, and I felt that's where I learned this: just make progress every single day. So as I was pondering, so we opened in October 2013, and really quickly learned, we're going to need more than 1 employee working in here. We started the thing with 5 employees, not all working the same shift, just to cover us through the week. But we realized that, wow, Saturday night we need 5 or 6 employees just in there on Saturday night. It ended up being really crazy. We now employ over 150 people. Like Scott said, we have 8 locations and 2 bakeries. You guys, I can't even express to you how surprised I am by this, okay? How this has boggled all of our minds, all of us participating in this. And what I think I wanted to get across to you today was, as I was being prayerful about this is an opportunity for me to tell you kind of the spiritual side of some of these things that happened, and what a blessing it's been in my life. So we got Sodalicious up and running, and it had been running for a year. My partners and I didn't always see eye to eye. So just a couple tips of advice, just going forward, if you have partners, make sure you have a great accountant, make sure you have a great attorney, and make sure you have an operating agreement in writing, signed, done, so everybody knows their roles, because that can get confusing. There can be resentments can build, which is going to be natural in any partnership, and it's really learning how to communicate and understand each other is the best way so you can move forward. And so that was one of the very first lessons. So we a year into this, we had got that shop up and running, but we were struggling. Not financially struggling, but we were internally struggling. And one day, I'm sitting on the couch in my house. Now, see, I've never told this story to a group of people before, in a public setting, but I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I see that there's a new restaurant opening in Provo, over by next to the Marriott Courtyard or whatever it is. It used to be TGI Fridays, then Maggleby's. But it was a new restaurant opening up called Tamarack. And I don't know why, but I do know why now, but at the time, I just had this impression: Kevin, get up and go introduce yourself right now. And I thought, that's crazy. Why would I go introduce myself to this guy? And my wife was pregnant at the time and not feeling well, laying down on the bed. I said, hey, Annie, I'm going to just go drive down to Tamarack and introduce myself and say, welcome to the neighborhood. And she just said, you are so weird. And I said, I don't know. I'm just going to go be Mr. Provo and say hi and good luck. And if there's any help or anything you need, I'm here. And so I really didn't know why I'm going into this thing, right? And I walk into Tamarack, and I meet the owner, and I talk to him, and we're having a conversation, and in 5 minutes after I got there, a man walked in, and the owner introduced me and this other man. His name's also Kevin, and said, and he said, "Oh, you're Kevin from Sodalicious?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh man, I've been hearing all about you, and your company." He said, "And people have been telling me I need to go buy it." I said, "Yeah, come buy it sometime. Come see what we are." He said, "No, I need to come buy you." And I said, "Oh, we're not for sale." And the interesting thing, this is a guy named Kevin Santiago. He played basketball here, like probably in the 1910s, and he'd love to hear that. So, and Kevin Santiago, his brother Brian played basketball here. He's actually the assistant athletic director. He's got brothers that work for Vivint, and I just comes from a really successful family, and actually happens to be next door neighbors. His parents happen to be next door neighbors with my in-laws, but my wife had never met Kevin before. And we struck up a conversation, and I was really at a critical point, my partners and I, with should we expand, should we not expand? Because everybody was saying, you need to franchise, you need to expand, you need to be, there's these other soda shops, and they've got this many locations, and they're franchising, and there was this kind of hysteria around it. And we were just really struggling, going, I don't want to go expand to another location. This is just fine the way it is. And I met with Kevin, and he said, what's your, kind of asked what went through our numbers and everything, and he said, well, here's what you need to do. You need to restructure your company this way, and you need to, get systems in place. And what ended up happening was, I got off the couch that day, and I had no idea that, I should say I was flying down to Arizona this weekend on Thursday night to go do a grand opening in Gilbert, Arizona, and I took Kevin with me, and I was sitting there saying, Kev, I got off the couch, and we met. And I said, I know that's not, just because of that, we're now opening this shop in Arizona, because there's been 10,000 decisions between there and here, but we never would have been here right now had I not gotten off the couch. The Spirit told me to get up off the couch and go meet the owner of Tamarack. He wasn't even the owner of Tamarack. He just walked in, and we created this relationship. From that relationship, that guy knows everybody, and that guy has opened up doors of opportunity for me and access to people that I never thought I would have the opportunity to talk to or meet. Through him, I met another guy named Kevin, and Kevin is now one of our partners in Arizona. And Kevin, I went down to see him a few months ago, and Kevin takes me around to look at locations. And after we're done looking at locations for the morning, he said, we got to go pick up my friend Damon and go get lunch. I said, great. So we drive over to Scottsdale to the W Hotel and pick up Damon John from Shark Tank. So we pull in, and it's Damon John comes walking out, and I'm like, oh, your friend's Damon John. Like, you didn't tell me it was Damon John from Shark Tank. Like, this is surreal right now. And we go grab lunch. I can't remember what Rehab Burger was what it was. And he starts kind of playing Shark Tank with me over lunch. And I just thought, how did this happen? People would die to either get on that show or just go spend an afternoon with one of these guys. And here I am, and I'm not asking for anything. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for anything. But I'm playing Shark Tank with this guy. And it was such a fun, interesting experience. So there's been all these experiences that have opened up to me because of that one, just listening to the Spirit. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about problem solving. You guys are starting your own businesses or thinking about doing it. You've got to learn how to problem solve. And this is something for me that I've had to work on through my whole life. And I was really facing a problem in my business. I don't know, this is probably, I guess it was just a little less than a year ago. I was trying to figure out some issues, some internal issues with personnel and things like that, and expansion. And I was reading a President Uchtdorf talk talk, and I can't even remember what the talk was. I think it was like something for a home teaching lesson or something. And he said in this talk, he said the word abide. And I thought, abide. I don't even remember I don't know if he actually quoted the scripture I'm going to quote to you right now, but it made me think, what does abide mean? What does abide really mean? Now, I've been praying for help to problem solve. I've been asking Heavenly Father, help me with this problem. It seems like every day there's new challenges. How do I solve these things? And I went to the scriptures and looked up the word abide. And the first one I turned to was John 15:7, where the Savior says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be granted unto you. And I looked at the footnote for that first abide. And you know what the footnote for that first abide is? Problem solving. That's what it says, problem solving. And that started me on this, ding, 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 here's an answer right here. I'm asking what problem solving is, and couldn't be more clear than spelling it out for me in a footnote. How do you problem solve in your life? Think about it. How do you problem solve in your life? You guys all have problems right now. I'm not even business. You have school, you have relationships, you have whatever is going on in your life right now. How do you problem solve? Do you react to the problem? Do you get worked up? Do your emotions take charge? How do you really problem solve? If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it will be granted unto you. This has been one of the most valuable life lessons I've ever learned, and it became because we decided to open a soda shop. Again, there was 10,000 decisions in between there and there. But I got to a place where I drew closer to my Savior, and He has helped me figure out problems because they come every day. But how to do it in a calm way and in a way that can exude peace and light and progress. I can say it like that. And it goes back to making progress every day. So I challenge you to maybe just in your own lives look at that. Are you abiding? Are you really taking the time to know how your Heavenly Father wants you to solve something? Are you really taking the time to listen to the Spirit and act on it, no matter how silly it is? Like to go meet the guy that owns the restaurant that's probably not going to make it, and your wife calls you weird. Are you going to do that? So that got me. So on the plane, I'm thinking on the way to Arizona this weekend. I'm thinking, well, how can I share some of the things I've learned, or what? And I realized that one of the greatest blessings or benefits that's come to me through this business is learning new principles. So I think it was Joseph Smith that said something along the lines that I teach correct principles and let the people govern themselves, right? And that applies for business. If you learn correct principles, you can govern and have a successful business. Now, there's going to be lots of challenges, but again, we abide. But there's, if you know the right principles, if you know the fundamentals, it's just like basketball or what's that one where they throw a ball in the air and the guy is supposed to catch it? Football. Sorry, you got a tough crowd. All right. I went to Utah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I lost you right there, didn't I? I'm going back to principles. If you have the fundamentals down, you can succeed in business. And you might fail, but really that's just a result, right? You'll learn how to pivot. You'll learn how to change up what you need to do. You'll learn how to understand your market better. Whatever it is, you can do as long as you have the correct principles. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know how to run a soda shop, a lemonade stand, whatever you want to call it, because I didn't understand food costs. I didn't understand labor costs. I understood fixed costs, but I had to learn those things. And I had to find out where those magic numbers are to make a successful company. And once I learned that, and learned how to keep those numbers in check, oh my gosh, like Scott said, there's cash flow. And you start duplicating yourself, and there's a lot of cash flow. And you're going, how did this ever happen? How did this ever happen? And you kind of pinch yourself. So, principles. So through Kevin Santiago, I was able to meet another BYU person. He played football in 1984 for the national championship team. His name's a guy named Ty Mattingly, and he is just a super successful businessman. I could spend the rest of my time telling you about him, but he has taught me so many principles. One of them, very first lesson I ever learned from him, because he's kind of been coaching and mentoring me, is bad business is bad business. You get yourself into a deal and you recognize it's bad business, it's most likely going to end up as bad business. There's no sense in chasing after bad business. That helped me understand my model better. That helped me understand what is my model? Is it just a drive-through? Do we bring on and start selling hot dogs, as people had wanted us to do? And even going further in lease negotiations and things like that. Is this a good deal for us, or is this bad business? Which another one, like I learned from Kevin Santiago, is win-win or no deal. If you're partnering with somebody, or you're going to business with somebody and you're negotiating a deal, remember win-win or no deal. This has helped with perspective for me. Like I've said again and again, it's a glorified lemonade stand. But I plan on being in this valley for the rest of my life. I love Provo. I am Provo. I can't believe I'm saying that at BYU right now, but I love Provo and I am Provo. And I mean, my family in Salt Lake's probably disowning me right now. But I do. You guys, I love it here. I love it here so much. And I love this school. I love this school for what it stands for and what it does for you. You guys are the brightest there are. Win-win or no deal. I'm going to be here. It makes no sense for me to ruin a relationship and have to see somebody around town for the rest of my life, and either they have to duck their head or I have to duck my head. I've seen that happen in other business relationships, and I don't want it to happen in any of my business relationships. This business is provided, yes, it's provided a wonderful income stream, but that's not really what we got in this for in the first place. We got into it just to solve our own need because we wanted our own soda. But the benefit, if Sodalicious goes away tomorrow, knock on wood that it doesn't, but if it does, I'm okay. We're okay. Because the greatest benefit have been the lessons, the education we've received from it, the relationships that have been established, the doors that have been opened. That's the real payoff. So if you're looking at your project or whatever it is you're working on and thinking, oh, I'm going to make this much money, or I want to just kindly suggest that that's maybe the wrong angle to take. And I know you're never supposed to tell somebody they're wrong, but look at it from a different light. What problem are you solving? What is the real payoff? Am I taking advantage of somebody else? Because if I am, I don't want to be a part of this. Because what is your integrity worth? This is another weird thing I would never tell anybody in a public setting except here, is that I do this exercise. Like I said, I'm a principles guy. I love principles. Proverbs, the book of Proverbs. How many chapters are in the book of Proverbs? Anyone? 31. That's a beautiful number. Why is that a beautiful number? Because there's 31 flavors at Baskin-Robbins, that's right. No, because there's 31 days usually in a month, right? So I started this process a few years back. And I read whatever day it is, today's the 23rd, I read the 23rd chapter of Proverbs, because that book is just loaded with principles. And they apply to everything in life. They apply to your marriage, they apply to dealing with your kids, they apply to business, they apply to standing in line at the grocery store. It's powerful how that book is just loaded with principles. And I challenge you, if you think that's interesting, and you're interested in gaining wisdom and understanding, that you read those chapters every day. Do it for like 3 months straight and see what happens in your own life. See the things that just become how you write it on your heart and how it starts to govern your life. It's been a beautiful blessing in mine, and it's helped me so much. I got a few more minutes here. I think, if I can see that right. 5 minutes. Okay, thanks. 20 minutes? No problem. Okay. 4:20. Great. Let me, one other thing I want to talk about. This is more on the business sense. I wanted to talk about it when I was talking about principles. Is you guys are bright, and you guys are smart, and you're clever, and you're creative, and you're going to create really amazing products and really amazing things that people want to buy and sell, or whatever. You're going to make really awesome stuff. And there's going to be people that are going to come to you and say, I will give you this much money. Give me this much of your company. And that's okay. But recognize, so I have to say, so Sodalicious in the beginning, we went from this little kind of underdog position, right? We started off where we were just in the little back of this barbershop. And then our competitor came to town. You guys know Swig. They came to town, opened up about a month after us. And the game was on, right? It was like, it's human nature to compare, right? It's just human nature. And I remember digging. I was 3 feet into the ground in the back of that barbershop, digging out the hole to put the plumbing in, when I got a call and they said, Swig is coming to town. And I just sitting there on my shovel going, okay, do I just dig 3 more feet and bury myself? What do I do? And I realized, no, I own it. I own the fact that I'm in the back of the barbershop. And then I encourage people to go try them out and then come try us out. And if people like them better and people don't like us, then I have no business being in this business. That was my thought right then and there, and that's the direction we took off. And competition has been one of the greatest things that has happened to us, because people naturally want to compare. So what happened is I went from an underdog position to kind of like the darling position. People love Sodalicious. People could see the lines. They see the success. Everybody all of a sudden wanted a piece of Sodalicious. And I was meeting with VCs that wanted to do this and that and take us here and there and everywhere and all kinds of promises. And the one thing that Ty Mattingly taught me was neither a seller nor a buyer be. You recognize what you got into this for, what it's already given you. And if these people are coming with a bunch of money, or these people are coming and they with promises of doing this and that for you, whatever you do when you get in those negotiations, neither a seller nor a buyer be. Just let it be. Let it be what it is, because you don't want to chase after something you want so badly that might not be right for you. Or you may not want to sell out so quickly and get taken advantage of. Just remember that principle. It's really applied to me lately. Neither a seller nor a buyer be. You guys, are going to be very successful in your lives. Probably a lot of you already are successful in different ways of your lives. You're here. That's a success in and of itself. Stick with it. See it all the way through. Make it happen. don't ever forget that your Heavenly Father knows the end from the beginning. And no matter what's gone on in your life, He knew that you'd be sitting here in this class today, right now, at this time. He has a purpose for each of you, a special purpose that only you can fulfill. How are you going to fulfill that purpose? Don't go chasing after the dollar. Just don't do it. Recognize there are so many better things to be doing in this life, more worthwhile, more rewarding things to be doing in your life than chasing after a dollar. Solve a problem. Solve a problem, and you'll be wealth beyond measure, but that's not what matters. It's the lives that you're going to change. It's the people that you're going to influence. It's that purpose that you're going to fulfill. I know this. I have a testimony of this. That is 100% truth that I just told you. I am so grateful for the opportunity I've had to speak with you guys today. Thank you so much. I'll be doing question and answer upstairs here shortly. Thank you for your time today. Thank you.